Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, of course, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Artur Beterbiev dog walks Marcus Browne en route to a 9th round stoppage. Bloody fight, and a really good fight in my opinion. Thoroughly enjoyable. To an extent, it went the way I thought it would, to an extent, but at the end of the day, for the most part, Beterbiev really beat up Marcus Browne in this fight. I felt Marcus Browne started this fight quite well, like I thought he would do. In the first couple of rounds, Marcus Browne was using lateral movement, and he was boxing out of that southpaw stance. He was flicking a fast jab. A lot of those jabs were parried and caught on the guard of Artur Beterbiev, but Marcus Browne was picking some good straight left hands to the body and a couple of straight left hands to the head. I felt Marcus Browne's work was more effective in the first couple of rounds. Having said that, he was utilising a lot of energy staying away and keeping at arm's length from Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev was stalking him, cutting the range, closing the distance, and he was continuously making Marcus Browne move. Beterbiev wasn't throwing many punches in the first couple of rounds, and he does start slow. We saw that in this fight, but he was still making Marcus Browne utilise a lot of energy with his movement. So, yeah, Marcus Browne, in my opinion, he won the first couple of rounds, but he used a lot of energy. Round 3 was where this fight started to turn. Browne was still trying to box and move, but he was holding his feet that little bit more and getting into a couple of exchanges with Artur Beterbiev, and in my opinion, Beterbiev got the better of these exchanges, and on top of that, Beterbiev was now throwing power punches as he was coming forwards and cutting the distance. So I felt Artur Beterbiev won the third round, and basically after round 3, he never lost a round, as far as I'm concerned. Round 4 was where the fight turned once again. Beterbiev being aggressive like he was in the previous round, throwing punches on the front foot. Marcus Browne was getting caught. They actually kind of came together and it resulted in a head clash. Marcus Browne was cut over his right eye, I believe, and Artur Beterbiev suffered a terrible gash in the centre of his forehead. And to begin with, Beterbiev looked pissed. He looked raging, but almost immediately, after a couple of seconds, that look of anger was just replaced with his usual look, just super stoic and about business. After the cut, the fight got resumed, and Beterbiev really started to put it on Marcus Browne. Browne was exchanging with Beterbiev, and he did land good shots on Beterbiev, but they just bounced off Beterbiev, quite frankly. So round 4 was a fun round, competitive, but Beterbiev won. And after round 4, it really was just Marcus Browne getting beaten up. Marcus Browne was finding himself with his back to the ropes, and the amount of times that Beterbiev was cutting the ring off and manoeuvring Marcus Browne to the corners was, he did it so many times, round 4 onwards. And yeah, round 5, Beterbiev proceeded to put a bit of a beating on Marcus Browne, very close to Marcus Browne on the inside, but Beterbiev he's got this knack of landing really short punches, but they generate some crazy power, like thudding power, and Marcus Browne didn't see a lot of these shots coming because they was coming from so close and so short, and they were so short. Marcus Browne had a really hard job of evading these shots, and he was feeling it round by round. You could see the energy drained from Marcus Browne. Browne was still throwing back when he could, and he was landing at times, no doubt about it, but his work was just nowhere near as effective and nowhere near as consistent as Artur Beterbiev's. And I think it was round 5 where Marcus Browne was actually hurt towards the end of the round as well. I think he got caught with an overhand right, and you could tell that Marcus Browne was really feeling the body shots. Round 6 was more of the same, just Beterbiev stalking, mauling, pushing Marcus Browne back, working the body, working the head, getting Marcus Browne into the corners, onto the ropes. He wasn't giving Marcus Browne any breathing space, And, as this fight was playing out, Beterbiev's feet, when it came to cutting off the ring and cutting off the distance, were noticeably quicker. He was closing the distance very quickly, and he wasn't giving Marcus Browne any escape routes. People say Artur Beterbiev is just a straightforward, tough guy brawler with power. Couldn't be further from the truth. Like I say, his footwork in this fight to close the distance was very good. His foot speed was very good. And when he had Marcus Browne on the ropes, what I liked from Beterbiev, he wasn't just standing in front of Marcus Browne. He was initially, but then he would take a little step to the side, acquire a new angle so he could land more punches. Things like that. Beterbiev doesn't get credit for some of the subtle things that he's got in his pressure fighting game. He's a great pressure fighter, really skilled, and we saw that in this fight. Round 7, once again, more of the same. Marcus Browne backed up to the ropes, backed up in the corners. Beterbiev actually dropped Marcus Browne in the 7th round. It was a left hook to the body, then a right hand to the head, but I think Marcus Browne went down because of a body shot. To Marcus Browne's credit, he beats the count. He continues to try and fight hard. He tried to fight off Beterbiev when he could, but it was to no avail, quite frankly. Everything he was throwing was just bouncing off Beterbiev. And that's another thing. There's this myth going around that Beterbiev has a bad chin or a suspect chin. I've never seen it that way. Marcus Browne has respectable power, and it did nothing to Beterbiev. We saw Beterbiev walk through Alexander Vodsik's power, and he can punch, but it did nothing to Beterbiev. People look too much into the 2 knockdowns in Beterbiev's career. The Jeff Page Jr. knockdown was purely balance, if you go and watch it. And the Callum Johnson knockdown, Beterbiev was hurt in that one. But, Callum Johnson, he's not a world-level fighter, but he does have world-level power. And what happened in that fight? Beterbiev got dropped, got hurt, got up, immediately recovered, and proceeded to beat the shit out of Callum Johnson. But I'm getting sidetracked. Round 7, Beterbiev drops Marcus Browne with a body shot. Round 8, Marcus Browne actually tries to fight with Beterbiev a bit more, and he was having more success in round 8. He was landing some good left hands to the head, some good right hooks out of a southpaw stance as well. Round 8 really was Marcus Browne's last stance. He was fighting on even terms with Beterbiev for a few moments, but once again, Beterbiev was just more consistent. He hurt Marcus Browne again in round 8. I think it was towards the end of a round. So round 8, you can't really score to Marcus Browne. And round 9 was where this fight ended. Marcus Browne was battered. He had nothing left. Artur Beterbiev got him against the ropes, and he landed a left hook to the body, left uppercut combination. Marcus Browne took a knee again and just sat out the count. He had nothing left. People are going to say Marcus Browne quit, which I think he did. But to me, not all quits are the same. He took a beating in this fight, and it was clear he had nothing left. So I don't blame Marcus Browne for doing what he did. I think he fought hard for as long as he could. He did show heart in there, but ultimately he was just overpowered, overwhelmed, and it was what it was. But he put up a good fight. He did put up a good fight. He gave Beterbiev a couple of problems, but he got beat down at the end of the day. And once again, this shows that, in my opinion at least, Beterbiev is the best light heavyweight in the world. WBC, IBF and lineal light heavyweight champion, and one of the most exciting fighters in boxing. His style is unique. His body mechanics are unique as well. Good power, good aggression, tough man. What's not to like? Humble guy outside the ring. Beterbiev's a beast, and like I say, the best light heavyweight in the world until further notice. Hopefully now, Artur Beterbiev can get a big fight. Marcus Browne was a good opponent in my opinion. Marcus Browne, he is a top 10 light heavyweight, so this was a good opponent for Artur Beterbiev, but I want to see Beterbiev have one of these big fights. Obviously, we want to see Beterbiev in another unification. Dmitry Bivol, a battle between 2 Russians, 2 unbeatens, 2 contrasting styles. That's a great fight. Based on this performance, I think Beterbiev beats Dmitry Bivol, but it's a great fight. And of course, if Joe Smith Jr. finds some balls, maybe we could get Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. That's a great fight. That's a war. These are the 2 fights I want to see the most. If Beterbiev can't get one of those guys in the ring, maybe someone like Gilberto Ramirez, Maxim Vlasov, even someone like, make Anthony Yarde an offer. That's a high-profile fight. Make Joshua Buatsi an offer. These are the sort of fights Beterbiev needs. He needs high-profile fights. He's only had, 17 fights in 8 years. He turned pro in 2013. His career's been plagued with injuries and promotional issues. I think we've been robbed of a really good fighter. He's still very good now, but I want to see him be as active as possible while he's still around. But great. In my opinion, Beterbiev looked very good in this fight. The first couple of rounds he started slow like he usually does. We saw that against Vodzik. We saw that against Enrico Koling, Adam Dines. He does start slow, but when he got going in this fight, I felt he looked very good. So I want to see Beterbiev back in the ring ASAP. That is a bad cut, so it's going to take a while. But what's not to like with Beterbiev? I mean, if you're a boxing fan and you don't like Beterbiev, I'm not sure what to say to you, to be honest. But there you go. It is what it is. Maybe you should follow a different sport. But yeah, share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy. Peace.